Coming up on News 11, corrections officers continue to strike across New York State. A second chance at the infamous Fire Festival. And Rihanna teases new music. All this and more, News 11 starts right now. Good evening and welcome back to News 11. I'm Julia Skiba.
And I'm Jen Polito.
We have a lot of exciting stories to cover, so let's get started with your local news. Fredonia student Mia Petey has received the prestigious 2025 Lanford Presidential Prize. Petey, a Dunkirk native, is going to be graduating this with high. According to President Colson, quote, "The requirements for selection are rigorous and the recipient exemplifies excellence in and out of the classroom," end quote. She plans to become a medical doctor with a concentration in women's health. Graduating with a science bachelor in biology and a minor in psychology, Petey will be leaving Fredonia with a 3.96 GPA. Not only has she been a great student, she also has logged over 100 hours in shadowing clinics. In 2023, she volunteered twice to go to Honduras to provide medical help to those in need. Petey currently plans to continue her academic journey by enrolling in the Jacobs School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences at the University at Buffalo. It is a great honor to have people such as Mia Petey here at Fredonia.
Brian Pender and his wife Erin own North Lake Development and have just purchased the former house on the hill along with the Watermark restaurant. Both restaurants are located on South Erie Street in Mayville. The couple said it was an opportunity they couldn't pass and, quote, "there was no reason for these buildings to be vacant," end quote. For the house on the hill property, the Penders said they have signed a letter and believes that once they find the right operator, they will be able to, quote, "open fairly quickly," end quote.
Due to an exceptionally harsh and prolonged winter, Chautauqua County is experiencing a significant road salt shortage. The steady cold temperatures since December have caused uninterrupted snowmelt, which has led to an increased demand for road salt and in turn has led to supply constraints. Despite these challenges, the Chautauqua County Highway crew has successfully received a recent shipment of road salt to extend its usability. The Department of Public Facilities will begin mixing the salt with sand. The County Public Facilities Director is still urging residents to drive with caution as sand only helps with traction while driving, especially on secondary and rural roads, but does not melt the snow and ice like salt does.
Last week, many corrections officers at varying facilities in Western New York began striking due to unsafe working conditions. This past Monday, the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision met with union representatives for the first time since the start of the strike. Negotiations have been going on for 3 days now with a goal of compromise to end the strikes and allow workers to feel more safe. Tony Work, a Buffalo native, spent 7 years incarcerated in a prison in Buffalo. He believes that many police policies are making prisons more unsafe for workers. However, he empathizes with corrections officers and understands the high degree of unsafety that they experience. There's no end in sight for these strikes, and officers are hoping their persistence will lead to change.
Volunteers with Journeys and Refugee Services spent a recent Saturday furnishing a home for a family from Afghanistan. The family arrived in Buffalo just as the Trump administration shut down the U.S. Refugee Resettlement Program. About 20 members that are a part of the Notre Dame Alumni Club and the Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church's Refugee Immigrant Migration Ministry volunteered for the effort. Volunteers collected furniture and household goods, along with cleaning the house and getting it set up. Volunteers expressed a bittersweet emotion for the efforts since this family was among the last to arrive before the program's closure.
The Buffalo AKG Art Museum has been enriching Erie County with public art for over a decade. To celebrate this milestone, curator Aaron Oat is showcasing works from many of the 90 artists the museum has commissioned in a new exhibit called High Viz at the Jeffrey E. Gaunlock Building. The exhibit highlights artists' studio practices and features familiar pieces such as Shark Girl, with artists wearing high visibility gear. The exhibit is on display until June 9th, with more information available on the Buffalo AKG website.
A rally and car convoy organized by the Ukrainian community in Buffalo took place on Sunday, which marks 3 years since the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The convoy traveled along Transit Road, starting at Patriots and Heroes Park in Williamsville and ending at Niagara Falls Boulevard. This event was part of a series of activities by the Buffalo Ukrainian community to show support for Ukraine. Niagara Falls will be lit in blue and yellow on Sunday night to symbolize solidarity with Ukraine. Participants of the convoy expressed hope for ending the conflict and returning to peaceful times. To learn more about the Ukrainian Congress Committee of America, visit uccabuffalo.org.
32 dogs were recently rescued from, quote, deplorable conditions at a residence in Hamburg. The dogs and puppies were taken to the SPCA serving Erie County in West Seneca, and they are ready to be adopted. The owner, whose identity is not being released, has been charged with animal cruelty. 15 of these Newfoundland breed mixes have already found homes, but plenty still need to be adopted. For more information, you can visit your spca.org.
Jo-Ann's Fabric's recent announcement of closure has caused locally owned fabric stores to see an increase in customers in their stores. Jo-Ann has announced that it will be closing all of its stores in the coming months, including several in Western New York. Marie's Sewing Center has seen a new wave of customers as some worry about the possibility of fewer options for supplies. Beth Canhead, an employee at Marie's Sewing Center, mentioned many shoppers don't like to buy online and would rather see and feel the texture and quality before making a purchase. To welcome new customers, Marie is giving out a free quilt pattern to first-time shoppers in both of their locations in Lockport and Elmira. It is still unclear of when the Western New York Jo-Ann's locations will close for good.
Mother and daughter duo Shanita Williams and Harita West serve authentic Southern food on Buffalo's east side at Parkview Soul Food. They serve everything from fried fish to mac and cheese and have had so much support in their 6 years being open. Over the years, they have perfected their processes to give customers the best experience possible. They are very invested in the community as much as they are invested in their food, with 90% of it being staff under 19 years old. They're teaching young people managing, customer service, and good working habits. A breakfast menu is on the horizon for Parkview Soul Food, and they are always looking to improve. And when we return, we will have your national stories. We'll be right back.
To Sofia and Gabriel, Miss Flores, my little flowers. Even though these old knees can't follow on your adventure to the forest today, these flowers represent my love, so you can take me with you wherever you go, near or far. These stitches and threads join us together. Me, your mother, and both of you. And wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
The Coast Guard is looking for a missing person in the waters surrounding Staten Island after a boat capsized this weekend. The New York City Fire Department and police responded immediately to the call and recovered 5 people from the water, bringing them to local hospitals. 3 people of the 5 individuals have been declared dead. The search is being conducted by air and by boat. This is an ongoing investigation.
A Delta Airlines flight to Columbia, South Carolina was forced to return to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport on Monday morning after a haze was observed inside the plane. The plane returned to the airport around 9 a.m. after the crew reported possible smoke on the flight deck. According to the Federal Flight Administration, the flight was carrying 94 passengers, 3 flight attendants, and 2 pilots. The airline said it is investigating the cause of the haze. An emergency was declared to get priority handling from air traffic control, according to the airline. In a statement, a Delta spokesperson said, quote, "The flight crew followed procedures to return to Atlanta when a haze inside the aircraft was observed after departure. Nothing is more important than the safety of our customers and people, and we apologize to our customers for the experience," end quote.
Apple, the multi-billion-dollar tech company, has decided to invest efforts to advance American innovation. In a statement released by Tim Cook, Apple's CEO, he said, quote, "We believe in the future of American innovation and are excited to deepen our long-standing investments in the U.S., end quote. The company plans to invest $500 billion across the U.S. over the next 4 years. To do this, Apple will open an advanced manufacturing facility in Houston to produce servers for Apple Intelligence. This investment comes with opening a training academy in Detroit to develop future manufacturers and hiring 20,000 more employees over this period as well.
Starbucks recently announced on Monday that it will be laying off over 1,000 corporate workers and cutting many unpopular drinks from its menu. This announcement comes as an attempt to turn around lagging sales and revamp the coffee chain. Frappuccino blends such as the Royal English Breakfast Latte and White Hot Chocolate are being cut from the menu as a result of their unpopularity. Starbucks justified the menu change, stating that, quote, "These items aren't commonly purchased, can be complex to make, or are like other menus on our other beverages on our menu," end quote. The company's sales have slipped in 4 straight quarters, the longest decline in many years. This lag in sales is a result of avid Starbucks customers seeking lower drink prices elsewhere, as well as looking to avoid the long wait times. This change to Starbucks comes as a result of the change in CEO, with Brian Niccol recently taking over. Niccol aims to return the company to its roots as a community coffee house with comfortable seating rather than one focused on getting customers out of the door as quickly as possible with a rise in to-go orders. Many other company traditions are making a return, such as baristas doodling on cups, as well as self-serve milk and sugar stations.
The infamous Fyre Festival is allegedly getting a sequel. It is set to be held between May 30th and June 2nd on Mexico's Isla Mujeres. There is once again a promise of world-class accommodations and the hottest talent performing. The specific performers have yet to be announced. McFarland was the founder of the original festival that people spent thousands of dollars on tickets for. Upon arrival, there was insufficient and poor housing and no performances because all of the talent backed out. The organizer McFarland was sentenced to 6 years in prison for bank fraud and false statements after his 2017 Fyre attempt. He was released in 2022 after serving 4 out of his 6 years and is now announcing he is trying to do it again. He announced Fyre 2 originally in 2023, but that did not plan out as expected.
A lost baby seal wanders their way through New Haven, Connecticut, and becomes a local celebrity. It was just a normal rainy day in downtown New Haven when regulars began spotting a baby seal in town. Ironically, the seal was around a restaurant called Shell and Bones Oyster Bar. Staff members from the Mystic Aquarium soon arrived on the scene to help the lone sea pup. The staff was able to get the seal back to the sea, only to spot the same baby seal in town the next day. This time, onlookers decided to call local authorities to protect the animal and hopefully relocate him for good. New Haven police have sent him to the local aquarium to be checked on, and they noticed the poor pup was underweight and dehydrated. For now, the baby seal will be staying at the Mystic Aquarium at least until they can return to full health and go back into the sea. And when we return, Matt Voles joins us for his first time with our sports update, and we'll have your first look at the weather. We'll be right back.
When you think of the local lowdown, what do you think of?
Well, when I think of the local lowdown, it's the live music that we have played in the studio.
It's gotta be the laughs we shared. The memorable moments during the whole thing. Oh my God, so fun.
The local lowdown for me is the people behind the scenes, the amazing team that we have making the show.
Oh, it's gotta be exploring all sorts of genres and music I've never heard before.
Oh, easy. Going out to shows and talking to artists and getting the latest news on what they have planned for the future.
It's about these artists, man. Giving them a platform to showcase what they've worked so hard on and show their music to the community. It's all about supporting the local scene of music to keep it running for years to come. And of course, the band merch. You can't forget about the merch.
No time, just sign on the line at the post office for selective service.
Hey guys, if you're about to turn 18, you've got to register with Selective Service. It's simple. Just go down to the post office, fill out a card, and turn it in. That's all there is to it. There's no draft now. You're just adding your name to Selective Service's list in case there's a national emergency.
So if you're 18 now, Selective Service, you gotta get down.
Register with Selective Service. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the law.
Takes no time, just sign on the line at the post office for Selective Service.
We're now joined by Matt Voles, who will be giving us our weekly sports update. So what's going on in sports, Matt?
Thanks, Jules. This past Sunday, the Blue Devils hockey team wrapped up their season in Buffalo. The team fell 4-3 with goals scored by Antoine St. Onge, Gavin Bloder, and Dawson Donor. Goaltender Charles Anthony Barbeau finished the game with 25 saves. The Blue Devils finished the regular season with a record of 7-18 and a 5-9 record in SUNYAC play. The men's basketball team also had a disappointing end of their season, falling 116-95 against Plattsburgh State in their last game. The game was back and forth for a while, but ultimately the Blue Devils' efforts weren't enough. Brandon Kulikowski and Aiden Proudfoot both contributed 20 points, along with Martin Garza contributing 15. Fredonia finishes with a final record of 6-19 overall and 4-14 in SUNYAC play. And in more exciting news, the Buffalo Sabres won their second game in a row since returning from the Four Nations face-off. The Sabres defeated the Anaheim Ducks 3-2 in last night's game. Buffalo was able to rally in the third period, scoring 3 straight goals, securing the win. J.J. Peterka, Alex Tuck, and Henry Jokiharju all recorded goals, with Dylan Cousins picking up 3 assists. Goaltender Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had 16 saves in the win. The Sabres need to win 20 of their final 26 games of the season in order to make the playoffs this year. And they'll be back in action tomorrow night in Carolina against the Hurricanes at 7 p.m. Definitely a Herculean task as the season finishes up, Jules, but fingers crossed that maybe, just maybe, this long drought can be over. It's been plenty long enough. So, Jules, you're up next with our weather forecast. What do we got going on in weather?
All right, so this week we're finally starting to see some of the snow begin to melt away. We had a high of 41 degrees and a low of 37. Although we're finally starting to get rid of that snow, we will see a 63% chance of light rain later in the evening. Tomorrow we will begin with a warmer day with a high of 42 degrees, but as we go into the night, we will see it drop down to 25. We also have a 66% chance of light rain as well in the morning. That will later turn into snow, and it will continue to snow throughout the night. Unfortunately, we will see the snow continue on throughout the weekend. So when I return for the weekend weather, we'll let you know more about that.
This one's for the real ballers and shot callers, the Sisterhood of Women in Tech. They're discovering cures, building apps, and programming the blockchain. They're CEOs, worldwide hustlers who can make it rain. They're tearing down the old boys club and seeing big gains. Because when women in tech come together, you know they make that change.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting
and even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
Last week, the Panama Canal Board of Directors approved plans to build a dam to solve what it says is a long-term water shortage problem. However, this comes at the expense of forcibly relocating thousands of Panamanians to make way for a new dam that could flood their homes. Construction on the dam is expected to begin in 2027. Panama is one of the rainiest countries in the world, but in 2023, a drought caused by El Nino got so bad that water levels and canal traffic plummeted. The drought reduced the number of ships passing by by more than a third. The plan for the new dam is to flood the basin and produce a reservoir. The water from the reservoir would flow back into the Lake Gatun and be used for the canal. The Panama Canal Authority says the project would also, quote, guarantee water supply for over 50% of the country's population, end quote. But it will come at a cost to the people living in the area, with an estimated 2,000 people being displaced. Villagers affected by these proposals stood up and chanted in Spanish, quote, our river is not for sale. We will defend it, end quote. The Panama Canal Authority is still planning to move forward with the project.
Germany's chancellor-elect has promised a major shift in relations with the U.S. Friedrich Merz, the leader of the center-right Christian Democratic Union Party, seeks to create a means to strengthening Europe's defenses without the help of the United States. These remarks come after the Trump administration looked to overrun about 80 years of policy with Europe, specifically the amount of money spent on the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO. Mike Waltz, Trump's national security advisor, said, quote, the United States taxpayer continues to bear the burden not only of the cost of the war in Ukraine, but of the defense of Europe, end quote. He added that he's in support of NATO allies, however, directing them to, quote, step up, end quote, in terms of their own defenses. Merritt stated that he was curious to see how relations will fare in anticipation for the NATO summit in June, wondering if Europe will be forced to consider independent defense much quicker than originally thought.
The world's most dangerous bird has been striking fear in many Australian citizens. It is widely known that Australia hosts a plethora of poisonous snakes and spiders. However, the cassowary bird of Australia has broken down many of Australia's fearless citizens. The average cassowary is as tall as a human and weighs around 140 pounds. The bird walks on 2 feet with large dagger-like claws found on each foot. Despite the intimidating appearance of these birds, they play an extremely important role in the Australian ecosystem and aren't as scary as they appear. Their biggest contribution in the wild will involve eating and spreading fruit seeds throughout the rainforest to allow for fruit regrowth. According to the Cassowary Conservation Group, if you avoid interaction with a bird, they will simply ignore you back. So if you ever find yourself in Australia face-to-face with a 140-pound bird, you know what to do. And after the break, a look at Rihanna's tease for a new album, Survivor's 50th season with a new twist, and the stars of Wicked set to perform at the Oscars. We'll be right back.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Rihanna has spoken at length about her next album, a project that has been speculated, theorized, and dreamt up for nearly a decade. Ever since her 8th album, Anti, came out in 2016. The singer and fashion mogul addressed the desire for more information on her new music, saying, quote, "I just cracked the code on what I really want to do for my next body of work. I'm actually feeling really, really good about this," end quote. She also said that all of the time she spent away from music means that her next project has to count after almost a decade since her time in the spotlight. While she stopped short of providing a time frame for when that wait might finally be over, Rihanna said that her new music, quote, "feels right and feels like it digs right into where I need to be and where I want. This body needs to come out and I'm ready to go there," end quote.
Survivor announces a new change for their 50th season, giving fans control of the season. The famous reality TV show Survivor has ironically survived for decades on air, airing all the way back in the year 2000. Survivor was the first of its kind and is currently airing their 48th season. But executive producer and host Jeff Probst has given us insights as to their plans for the 50th season. Starting today, fans will be able to vote for what happens during the show, including special rules for each round. For any longtime fans, you can also vote on who returns for this season. To vote, go to survivor50cbs.vote.tv. Voting concludes when filming for the 50th season begins.
Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, stars of the Oscar-nominated blockbuster Wicked, will light up the stage at the Academy Awards on Sunday. They'll be joined by Doja Cat, Lisa of Blackpink, Queen Latifah, and Grammy-nominated artist Ray. This year's live performances will be a tribute to the filmmaking community and its legends, instead of the traditional Best Song nominee performances. The Academy is keeping the songs under wraps for now. Viewers can expect a special performance from the Los Angeles Master Chorale as well. Erivo and Grande are the only Oscar nominees among the performers, with Erivo nominated for lead actress and Grande for supporting actress. If Erivo wins, she'll join the Elite EGOT Club, a prestigious group of artists who've won an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony. A group that includes Elton John, Audrey Hepburn, and more. Wicked landed 10 Oscar nominations this year, including Best Picture, going up against heavy hitters like Emilia Perez, The Complete Unknown, and Dune Part 2. The night will be hosted by comedian Conan O'Brien, who's taking the reins for the first time. Tune in Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC for a night of glamour, talent, and history in the making. So now I'm going to toss it to Jenna for our weekend weather. What do you have for us?
Thank you. On Friday, we will have a pretty tame day with a high of 32 and a low of 31. We will see clouds throughout the day and have a 17% chance of some rain and snow in the evening. Saturday, it will warm back up again with a high of 39, but it won't stay for long. We'll see some rain mixed with some snow, and at night we will see it drop down to 14 degrees with a 65% chance of snow showers throughout the evening. Sunday, we will finally see the snow go away with some partly cloudy skies throughout. Don't be fooled, as it will still be a pretty cold with a high of 21 and a low of 16. We may see some slight snowfall at night with a 10% chance. And that's all I have for you for weather this week. Back to you.
Thanks so much. So that does it for News 11. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes crew. We'll be back next week.
And as always, thank you to everyone watching at home. Have a great night.